Okay, hello. This video is going to go into some of the more advanced features of the DC envelope printer. In the video above, we went through the process of selecting an envelope size. And we directly filled out the return address and the address that we wanted on our envelope, and we directly fill out that information on the envelope form. Used by this app, and then we simply printed out the envelope. Now, the DC envelope printer contains a database in which you can store return address records as well as address records, and the application allows you to configure an envelope, and part of the configuration process is to select one of the return address records you created as well as one of the address records you created. Okay, so we're going to go through the process of creating address records and then configuring the envelope to to have it printed out. Okay, so we're going to click on this button down here to bring up the bottom menu bar. Then we're gonna click on this button, update database, to begin entering address records. Now you'll notice that the fields, these are the standard fields which come with the application. But the application has an option to use what is called multi-line address fields. So we're gonna configure the application to use that because it gives us more flexibility. Okay, so we're gonna exit this form, the update database form, and then we're gonna go to settings. And we're going to click on address fields, and then we're going to click on single multi-line. Okay, so we have the option to select either the standard address fields or the single multi-line. Like I said before, the single multi-line gives us more flexibility. You can have as many lines in your address that you want, as long as they can fit on the envelope, and you can have whatever formatting you want. Okay, so we're gonna choose this option, and then we're gonna click on the apply button. Okay, then we're gonna go back to the update database, and as you can see, we have just one one control in which we can enter lines of address. Okay, so I'm gonna enter the first return address. Okay, to enter an address, click on the add button, and then you can enter the address of an individual or an organization. So I'm gonna enter my name. Okay, after you enter your address, you can just click on the save button, and the return address will be saved. Okay, now the address code, okay, I'll get into that. Okay, but the address code is if you have addresses for a particular individual or organization, or return addresses. Okay, if you have several of those, if you have several addresses for a particular individual or organization, you can distinguish each address by using an address code. Okay, so Um, I'll I will illustrate this in the next example. Okay, we're gonna enter an address now. So we're just gonna click on the address button, and then gonna click on the add button. Okay, we're gonna add um, an organization. Okay, and then we can hit on the save button. Now, so we have a return address, and we also have an address. Okay, now, okay, with regard to the address code box, say for example we have you know several IBM addresses. Okay, this address box allows you to differentiate between the different addresses, for the individual or entity up here. So, say we have a New York address for IBM, so we can differentiate it from another one. We could say we could call this New York. And we can save it, and then if you want to create another address for IBM, okay, so this allows us to have like several IBM addresses and be able to distinguish between the two. This information in the address code box is not going to be printed out, but again, it allows you to specify several address records for for a particular individual or entity. Okay. Now, after we've entered the address, our address records and return address records, we can exit the database. Okay, and then we can go through the process of configuring an envelope. Okay. Now, if you wanna if you want to configure like an envelope, then we just go back to the main form and then click on configure. Now we can click on the envelope size button and then choose the envelope size that we want. We're gonna choose like a number 10, and then we can choose the return address. Okay, we'll just keep this return address, and notice once we have entered return address record, we can change the font as well as the font size. Okay, so we just keep these settings, and then we can select a particular address. So we have two addresses to select from. We have the IBM address as well as the North Carolina address. Okay, let's go with the North Carolina address, and then we can just simply click apply, and then we have our we have our envelope configured. Okay, now If you want to print it out, just click on the print button down here and then click on execute. And then we can just print out the envelope. But remember, before you begin printing out envelopes, to ensure that the you specify the print feed method and that your printer uses, and this will ensure that the application works well with your printer. Okay, so you can just print out your envelope, and then everything should be good to go. Oh yeah, there's just one more thing. Okay, below this video are a couple of links, including one that says printing an envelope. You can use that link to learn how to configure the DC envelope printer to have the same print feed method as your printer. So you can go to that link and learn how how to print out the envelopes, and included in that information is how to specify the print feed method that your printer uses. Okay, thank you very much.